We still have with us in the studio Mr. Imbirza Gabasa, who is an indigene of Gwoza. And just before we went on break, you were telling us about the efforts that were being made in Gwoza and how you want the Air Force to continue to make strikes in the hills of Gwoza because you believe that that's where the insurgents could be hiding. However, before we got to that part, I was asking you how you knew, that things had gotten a little bit better. What are the indices that you normally use to know when things have gotten better in terms of security? What sort of information do you rely upon?
Well, we have people at home in Gwoza itself. There are very reliable informations they give us.
Yes.
And that's one. Another one is by actually going down home or close to home to find out about the situation of things. There are people that are not from Gwoza. If you get there to Maiduguri and ask them about the situation, or even if you go to Gwoza itself and get non-indigenous who are working there, they can always give. That's how we get our information.
Yeah, the point is, for instance, is it that less people died within a certain period? Is it that less bombs went off? Is it that you see more security presence on the roads? Precisely, what sort of information do you look out for you to say, indeed, security has improved in the last couple of months?
Yeah, okay. April. In fact, January, February, we were able to travel from Maiduguri to Pulka, which is in Gwoza local government. In fact, there's no soldiers along the road. And even if they are along the road, they are a distance away from the road. So they don't even check any other thing. Once you come to a checkpoint, they will allow you go. Once you come to a checkpoint, they allow you go. If it is immigration, they want to check papers, they can always check papers. And you, the person traveling, you have to be very patient. And it goes out smoothly. But once it comes to Pulka to Gwoza is not a distance, it's not a long distance, about 22 kilometers. But that's where the problem is. Because from the west is the Sambisa right inside. And then they always come up to the mountains. So from Pulka to Gwoza, there has to be an escort by soldiers. And they have to find out whether whether it is clear or not. They have their intelligence there. They will have to find out whether the road is safe before we can start moving. I was part of it. We had to go there, and during elections too, we went there, and it was okay. People were just traveling. But from Pulka to Gwoza, it's not a safe place. Sometimes you might think you spend 2 hours. You end up spending 3 hours waiting in the motor park or in town itself. Once there is a signal that it is okay now, we can always go. But in 2017, for example, when I went to Gwoza, we had to come up as early as 6 in the morning to queue up in the motor park. And when we were in the motor park, we had to wait as we were driving, going through to Pulka from Gwoza, going to Maiduguri, from Pulka to Gwoza, from Gwoza to Pulka. The soldiers are there detonating bombs, whatever it is, along the road. Sweeping, they are using mine sweepers and to detect where these terrorists have buried bombs or have just. So in that case, it was a very, very slow movement. And that was that time, 2017.
But now, yes,
you can travel from Maiduguri non-stop, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 checkpoints. You come to Maiduguri, you come to Gwoza. But it is from Gwoza now that since that 2017, you cannot pass anyhow. You have to be escorted. Okay. You can even go, and then after 1 hour or 2 hours, they'll tell you something has happened along the road. Terrorists came and attacked one vehicle. Say they have taken the vehicle down to Sambisa. So sometimes the soldiers will have a follow-up. They will even go and retrieve these vehicles from them.
Do you think that this war is going to end anytime soon? Because I'm sure when it started, people did not think that it was going to go on for this long.
Yes. We have to even find out that there are some problems with us, Nigerians. We are not very good people. I have to be very frank. When this thing started, it was as if some people were happy that this is happening. And they started bringing religious colorations into it. But at the end of the day, everybody is a problem. Everybody is not happy. When we start thinking of how we are living at home, when we used to go and celebrate Christmas, when we used to go and celebrate Salah with Muslim brothers, dancing from one place to another, going to visitations and the rest. That time has become a problem now. We cannot do that one again. We don't even know where it will come. In fact, I have to be very frank with you. We don't even know when this war is going to end. We wouldn't know. We didn't know. If you talk of the military, on their own part, they are doing their best, but some of them have overstayed. And because they have overstayed now, nothing is happening. It's the same story. And then the soldiers also, when they go to a particular place, trying to make sure that the enemies are very close, the insurgents are very close, just trying to get them to say, okay, an order from above. Don't go further than this. Stop. Don't attack. I know when these people come with full force, when you are telling them not to attack, they'll just carry whatever it is. What is the problem? Why are they doing things like that? If it is a soldier of the 1960s or the 1980s, I don't think that is going to be proper. If you see an enemy, you say, no, don't just play with him. Don't allow anything there. Just don't kill him at all. If you see an enemy, you say you cannot kill him. Then what are you? You are not a military man. You are just a civilian in uniform.
So there are some things that, are going on that doesn't seem right from what the indigenes are gathering in that particular place. But let's quickly go to Lagos now and take another side of the story. Chamberlain?
Well, yes, we've got Colonel Yomi Dare, who is a former Army officer and former Director of Legal Services of the Nigerian Army. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Well, part of the big question, too, is, has this come to stay, fight against insurgency?
Honestly, Chamberlain, if I have to be very, very blunt with you, whether we like it or not, is a reality.
That it has come to stay?
It has come to stay.
Why should we settle for that?
What are you talking about? You know what insurgency is? It's not a conventional kind of war. It's not, okay? And this is a war wherein you don't even know the enemy. You don't know. The man next door might be the enemy. You don't even know.
Well, is that the case now, or that could have been the case then? But by now, we thought that a lot should have changed.
What change in what sense?
Identification of the enemy. We have multinational MNJTF across borders. Border nations are also supposed to be collaborating with us on this one. So we have several strategies that we've deployed. And besides, recently or before now, they told us they were going to tell us who the sponsors of Boko Haram are or where. We don't have that details. They said they were compiling, they have some details. We don't have that detail.
Who told you that?
Federal government. The government said they were going to publish the names of sponsors of terrorism, and now we don't have it. And then there are vehicles that are used. We see them go in convoys. We're supposed to have satellites and assistance from the West. Why can't we identify where are those vehicles coming from? How did they get the supply? Why can't we follow the funds? Why is it so difficult?
Well, that's a question that's begging for answers, okay? But if I might just tell you off cuff as we speak, I want to believe that part of the gains of the closure of our borders should be, really getting our neighbors, amongst other reasons, among other economic factors, especially on security, to sit down at the round table and then rediscuss and renegotiate that, look, you guys must do something. Because there's, of course, our borders, is a common knowledge that our borders are porous, okay? And there's cross-border, banditry, kidnapping, and all sorts of crimes.
So the closure of the border, but before the announcement of the closure of this border now, we've had multinational joint task force, they're working with Cameroon, Chad, those neighboring countries. Isn't that sufficient to repel any or plug any porosity that may exist in those areas?
I don't believe that is holistic enough, okay? I don't think that is holistic enough.
You don't think what is holistic enough?
I mean, all the multinational joint forces, that we had before.
Even though these crimes, this insurgency are cross-national?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, because you must really understand that amongst our neighboring countries, some of them, depending on their colonial heritage. So there's a difference in language, there's a difference in culture, amongst other things. And of course, what thrives most is, this smuggling, corruption.
I don't get something, Connor.
Yes, please.
Is this to say that the governments involved in these battle against insurgency and banditry and all of that, is it to say that they are incapacitated or overwhelmed, or all of it, or a lot more that we don't know?
Well, I want to believe that there's a lot more than we don't know, and hence the need to really sit down and look at each other eyeball to eyeball and kind of redefine our relationship.
This has gone on for upwards of 10 years.
Yes.
And you are saying to us here now pointedly that it could go on for longer.
Absolutely.
Isn't that literally saying, look, citizens, get ready to die?
Well, that is not to say citizens should get ready to die. What I'm saying here is a clarion call, it's a wake-up call that citizens should all wake up and be aware. Everyone must be security conscious. Security is everybody's business, for crying out loud. It is not left to security, it shouldn't be left to security agents alone. It should be everybody's business. If somebody is coming or walking around aimlessly within the precincts of Channels Television and your security person, even if the security person at the gate doesn't see the person, you driving in as a staff of this place or a neighbor, across the road, should be able to draw the attention of management to say something is happening here. So that is the kind of attitude. We must develop what you call attitudinal change to security.
Citizens, you talked about. A lot of people have identified one of the main issues for this insurgency and all of the unrest that we're having, traced it to unemployment and a number of other things. People that are still struggling to make ends meet. That is one of the challenges. Don't you think government should pay attention to that? And then hopefully that could help to stem the tide?
I do agree with you. When you say stem the tide, well, that is right. But can that stop it? Can that eliminate it?
Well,
so that's another question.
We know it's quite challenging,
okay,
this particular situation that we're in. But how do the citizens get that confidence and that assurance that, yes, they can actually play their role and be willing to do much more when we know that the AFCC can trace funds? We know the ICPC have talked about a lot of funds, illicit flow of funds from here to the West. We know several agencies and several strategies that we do have to trace funds, but nobody can give us any information whatsoever about where is the source of this funding coming from. That can be discouraging.
I do agree with you. And of course, that's why even the government agencies to really need to do more. There's need to check the checker.
Do they have to get a word from the CNC saying, okay, you know what, we want to know where is the source of funding coming from?
Well, I don't think you need to get a word from the CNC, because for crying out loud, Mr. President cannot, be everywhere. I mean, you and I, we have our roles to play. Every citizen has his or her role to play. Okay? I mean, I take my mind, because when we started this discussion, trending, you find some, alleged human rights abuses, during the course of prosecuting this war against terrorism. And then you take you cast your mind back to what happened in 9/11 in the U.S., which gave rise to the enactment of the Patriot Act. Okay? A lot of people kicked. You remember the Patriot Act? Okay? Patriot Act of 2001, says that they have to try as much as possible, to protect America, to strengthen, the American rights.
Yeah, but speaking about that too, yes, because they have to do certain things, homeland security and things like that. But there has also been, and there are still questions about the policing component. Can we ever make tremendous or the kind of success we want if we don't ensure that police get to play their role in all of these things?
Well, I am an advocate of, as much as possible, empowering our police, strengthening our police force, because whether you like it or not, it's not the role of the military to police the country, okay? I mean, for the military, it's just a kind of, it's not a constitutional role per se, even though the Constitution provides for, for the military to be called up, to assist in internal security, or, but the primary role of the military is to protect the territorial integrity of our country. And of course, they're on standby to be called upon when there are insurgencies and all whatnot. But you find out that what we have right now is like, the military even, kind of taking over most of the police duties, and that shouldn't be. So there is need for us, to really rejig, overhaul, the policing, and allow our police to take its place.
I just recall when the Chief of Army Staff was in Delta some time ago, he did say citizens should volunteer information to them about some of these things going on to help the fight, because, I mean, really and truly, many of the cases that are successful or they act upon, usually intel that they get. And when you also say, if you see something, say something.
Yes.
It's the police that people will report to. And that's why they need to strengthen it. But do they need any telling? Because at the moment, people can't seem to place where is the police component in this our fight against insurgency.
Well, again, like we've always said, the military has to, soften the ground before they can invite the police in. Okay, so both are complementary. So that's why they must continue to work together. Okay, and
No, do you think they're working together
right now?
Yeah.
Well, I think things are getting better, because occasionally there are frictions. Okay.
One more thing. What about the morale of the troops? Because that video making the rounds, where the Chief of Army Staff says that we will investigate and get to ensure that whoever is involved, if they're Nigerian Army, they are dealt with. What does that say about morale of the troops at the moment?
Well, morale, in my opinion, is elastic. Okay, is elastic because it depends on how you look at it. Okay, and don't forget that all over, I mean, like I always say, there's what you call unintended consequence of any military operation. Okay, when you have military operations, for example, what happened 9/11. After 9/11, America declared a global war on terrorism. And that has affected in one way or the other. In some cases, it's intentional. In some cases, it's unintentional. Great human rights violations.
All right. We have to thank you for coming on, Colonel Yomidare, former Army officer and former Director, Legal Services for the Army. Thank you for your time once again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Markwa?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. We still have with us Mr. Imbirza Gabasa, who is an indigene of Gwoza. You heard him there. He says insurgency has come to stay, and there is, it's a battle that we'll have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Is it a reality that the people of Borno State are prepared to accept?
Yeah, that's a good question. In Borno State, if you study the trend very well, even of recent, there was this meeting that was between the soldiers, this peace meeting that happened recent, peace talk. Now, some of our House of Representative members, but two, one from Jerea, one from Jerea, one from Bama area, federal constituency. The way they reacted and the way they were accusing the soldiers, we are conservative. Some of us are conservative people. But then, I in fact think those people didn't go very far, mixed with people as expected. The soldiers have gone a long distance. They have gone a long distance, and it is very important that we should take that as an observation. Once you are not flexible, it becomes a problem. They are also human beings like ourselves. Just as I was telling you, more effort should be done, a little effort, though I call it a little effort in courts. They have to do a lot of work. They have to do
what went wrong in that peace meeting? Was there a quarrel? Was there misunderstanding? What precisely happened?
Well, they were accusing the soldiers that they were not doing enough. Since this thing started, hadn't been, there were no soldiers at all. Maiduguri wouldn't have been there. Definitely they would have taken over.
So you didn't agree with the members of the House of Representatives?
No. But there is one member of the House of Representatives that is from Gwoza. In fact, his constituency is Gwoza, Damboa, and Chibok. He said his mind. It was not in Maiduguri, but he said it here in the National Assembly. What he said was just the perfect thing. If these people cannot go again, all the soldiers, the generals there.
What did he say?
He said that they should be retired, that they are running out of ideas. If they are running out of ideas, new people should come in so that they can pilot this Boko Haram issue.
You think that is what is happening?
Yeah, to some extent, yes. Why not? To some extent, yes. The big shots there, once, in fact, they vote money for them. Once there is money, they are supposed to be paying all these soldiers, but their allowances don't come in because corruption sets in immediately, and it becomes a problem. If you don't do it, you'll be sacked from the army. You can be punished, and they call them names. So the best thing is to manage and do one or two things, but it doesn't go far. So this war will not finish. It will take a long time before it can finish. Secondly, we, the indigenes ourselves, we have to be talking. Well, I spoke about 2 or 3 times. Elder Ayuba John spoke. Okay, and then who again? We have Richard Musa, he spoke. And other people, very few. And then the House of Reps, that Ahmed Jaha Babao also spoke the mind of so many of us. And then the senator himself, he also spoke the mind of so many of us, in not only in Gwoza, not only in Maiduguri, not only in Borno, but Yobe and the rest. But sometimes when things become very difficult, and then there is no understanding, it becomes a problem. Initially, everybody was saying Jonathan should not bring soldiers. We don't want soldiers. They are killing our children. The same people that said that one had to relocate to Kano, relocate to Abuja. Sometimes they change their numbers so that you cannot even know where they are. They were afraid. Some of them went to Saudi Arabia and stayed there. Some of them went to England. And they continue to spend a lot of money phoning people at home to find out actually what is happening. So if there is no cooperation, it does not work at all. If we can be talking every time in one with one voice, so many things will happen. But when you are not a soldier and small time, they will start complaining. It becomes a problem.
Just quickly, I want you to comment on this Operation Positive Identification, which the courts have asked the Nigerian military to suspend for now. They said it was successful in the northeast. I don't know if you are aware when that happened. And,
yes, I gave my papers.
And what your thought was when you heard that it was going to now be all over the Federation.
It will bring insanity. because there are so many Boko Haram people going out in plain dresses.
Insanity or
Now
sanity?
it will bring sanity.
Sanity?
Yes.
It is something that you supported.
Yes, I support that one. I was part of it because when I went home, they would tell us, bring your cards, ID cards or whatever. I normally give. Obediently, I do it. There's nothing wrong with that one. But the only thing that is not good is that once you don't have the papers, you'll be told to bring money. You'll be charged 200 naira for non-Nigerians. For non-Nigerians, it can even be more than that.
So doesn't that defeat the entire purpose, the entire exercise? If people are being told to bring money when they don't have papers,
well, on that
what
side,
if the insurgents don't have papers and they're asked to bring money? How
yeah,
do you identify
they
them?
do that one. Well, identification, sometimes they look very rough. When they are in the bush, they cannot have their nails treated very well. No manicure there. And then their hair is very bushy. They don't shave. And they smell. These are some of the things that once, even if they see him, they will say, okay, you just stand one side. At least they know that this one is a Boko Haram man. So, and the other ones, they see that, but small, somewhere they will slip off. But no amount of money will they will give these people. When they find out that this man is a criminal, is a Boko Haram man, they cannot tell him to go. They will just hold him. What
So
I'm saying is
you
that
have confidence in the military people or the security agencies to be able to separate just by mere looking good people from bad people.
you see,
I'm just asking. It's a yes or no question, sir.
yeah, it's not a yes or no question. At least I'll have some small explanation.
Well, we're totally out of time. I've been told by my director now that we're totally out of time.
Okay.
I have to thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
ma.
and sharing your thoughts and
you,
your
ma.
experience in your home state of Borno State.
Yes.
Mr. Imbirza Gwoza is an indigene of Gwoza in Borno State, and he's been telling us just what's happening on the ground and the experience of many citizens on the ground in his own area of Borno State. Sunrise Daily continues in a moment. Please stay with us.